The slap cracked so loudly it made people gasp. Not later, not in private, but right there beside my mother's coffin. My father's hand slammed into my face. My head snapped sideways. I tasted blood. "You killed her?" a woman in the front row whispered. "Oh my God!" Someone lifted their phone. I heard the murmur spread through the crowd like a wave. In that moment, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just a family fight. This was my public execution. I was standing beside my mother's casket, dressed in black, trying not to collapse. My chest felt like it was being crushed from the inside. I had rehearsed 100 ways to say goodbye to her. None of them included being branded a murderer. 2 hours earlier, I'd arrived alone. The cemetery sky was low and heavy, like it was pressing down on me. I could barely get out of the car. My legs felt weak, like they already knew something bad was coming. My mom had been dying for 2 years, 2 years of hospitals, 2 years of chemo, 2 years of watching her become smaller. And through all of it, I stayed. I bathed her. I fed her. I held her when the pain made her cry. I begged my father and my brother to come, and they always had excuses. Too busy, too hard to watch. Tomorrow never came. So when people avoided my eyes at the funeral, I thought it was grief. I didn't realize it was suspicion. When the pastor asked if anyone wanted to speak, my body moved before my fear could stop it. I stepped forward, hands shaking, heart pounding. I just wanted to tell them who she really was, but my father rushed me like a predator. His hand flew. The slap landed. "She died because you left her?" Gasps ripped through the crowd. Phones lifted higher. I heard someone whisper my name like it was already stained. My uncle tried to pull him back, but my father shook him off. "You abandoned her when she needed you." My eyes locked on my brother Daniel. He didn't move. Didn't speak, didn't defend me, and something colder than grief slid through my chest. They were letting this happen. I stepped back, shaking. Every stare felt like a verdict. So I ran, past the casket, past the whispers, past the phones. I didn't stop until I reached a crooked willow tree behind the church. I collapsed onto a bench, my face burning, my hands trembling. That's when the guilt hit me. Because even though I knew I hadn't abandoned her, I had stepped out that night. Just 1 hour. And what if, even a little, that was enough? The thought clawed at me. That's when I heard my mother's voice in my head. "When I'm gone, they're going to try to erase you. Not punish you, erase you." Back at the house that night, I felt it. The air was thick, doors closed quietly. Conversations stopped when I walked in. I wasn't just unwelcome. I was dangerous to them, so I went to her study, the locked drawer. My hands shook as I slid it open. I half expected my father to burst through the door and catch me. Inside was an envelope with my name, letters, dozens of them. And beneath them, her unsigned will. My breath stopped. The house, her savings, her share of the antique shop, all of it was meant for me. And suddenly I remembered the way my father had stared at me when the lawyer visited last month, not grief. Calculation. They hadn't just humiliated me at the funeral. They were setting me up. And now I knew why. They didn't just turn my grief into a crime, they were hiding a secret they were willing to destroy me to keep. By the next morning, my name was already poisoned. My phone exploded with messages I hadn't asked for. "Is it true? I heard you left her alone. How could you do that to your own mother?" Someone had posted a shaky clip from the funeral. Just the slap, just my father's words. "You killed her." No context, no explanation, just a verdict. I shut my phone off, my hands trembling. They hadn't just humiliated me, they had fed me to the internet. I stayed at my friend Mia's apartment because going home didn't feel safe anymore. Every buzz of my phone made my chest tighten. My father hadn't just blamed me, he had created a story where I was a monster. Around noon, he called. "You need to come home," he said calmly, too calmly. "We need to talk about what you did." "What I did?" I whispered. "You embarrassed this family, now people are asking questions. If you have any decency left, you'll fix this." There it was, not grief, control. "You left her," he added. "If you hadn't, she might still be alive." The guilt tried to creep back in, but I remembered the nurse's words, peaceful, asleep. "You're lying," I said. He hung up. Minutes later, Daniel texted, "Dad says you're trying to steal Mom's money." My stomach dropped. That was the story now, not just abandonment. Greed. Then Mia came running into the living room. "There's a guy outside taking pictures of the building," she whispered. I went to the window. Across the street, a man stood beside a car, his phone raised. Click. He turned, spoke into it, then got back in the driver's seat. Fear slammed into me. They knew where I was, and then my phone buzzed again. A notification from my bank. Account access suspended. Please contact support. My breath caught. I logged in or tried to, denied. My savings, my emergency fund, everything I had gone. They hadn't just talked, they had struck. That was when the letter arrived. A courier envelope slid under Mia's door, cease and desist, accusing me of illegally accessing my mother's documents, warning me to stay away from family property. They were trying to cut me off before I could fight back. I gathered my mother's letters and the draft will into a folder with shaking hands. I need a lawyer, I told Mia. An hour later, I was sitting across from one. He read everything in silence. When he finished, his face had changed. Your father is moving fast, he said. He's already freezing accounts and laying legal groundwork. So what do? You file first. If he gets control of the estate before you do, he paused. You lose everything, the house, the business, all of it. My chest tightened. How long do I have? Days, maybe less. I realized something then. They weren't waiting to see if I would fight. They were racing to bury me. And when I saw how quickly they moved to erase me, I knew this wasn't about my mother anymore. It was about who would survive this war. I didn't sleep that night. Every car that passed Mia's building made my heart jump. Every vibration of my phone felt like another piece of my life being taken. By morning, I was running on fear and caffeine, but fear sharpens you. At 8 a.m., I sat across from my lawyer. He slid a folder toward me. Your father filed for emergency control of your mother's estate last night. My stomach twisted. He's claiming you're emotionally unstable, he continued. That you could damage assets? They're trying to make me look crazy, I whispered. Yes, he said, and if the court believes him, you lose everything. I opened my own folder, my mother's journal. Pages filled with medication schedules, notes about my care, and something else, fear. She wrote about money being moved without her consent, about my father delaying the will, about him telling her she was confused whenever she questioned it. The lawyer went quiet. This changes things, he said. I added the hospice records. Heavy morphine, no distress, time of death documented. They can't prove I abandoned her, I said. They just want people to believe it. He nodded. Which means we make the truth louder than their lie. That afternoon, I went back to the antique shop for the first time since the funeral. People were already whispering, some stared, some looked away, then a woman hesitated in the doorway. You're Aliner's daughter, aren't you? She asked softly. I nodded. I saw the video online, she said. The one from the funeral. I recognized you, my breath caught. I volunteered at the hospice where your mother was, she continued. I was there the afternoon she passed. My hands started to shake. She kept asking about you, the woman said. She said you stepped out to rest. She wasn't angry, she was worried about you. She pulled out a folded note. She asked me to write this down in case anyone ever tried to lie. I read it, my mother's handwriting. She was asleep. Comfortable, surrounded by care. My daughter loved me. I did not die alone. Tears blurred the page. They had built their entire story on a lie, and now I had proof. That night I did something they didn't expect. I logged into the antique shop's social media, the account my mom and I built together. I didn't accuse anyone. I didn't fight. I posted a photo of us from last Christmas, her laughing, me holding her, in one sentence. She did not die alone, and she did not die unloved. The response was immediate. Customers commented, neighbors shared, old friends posted memories. The story began to shift. Daniel called. Take it down, he snapped. Dad is furious. Why? I asked calmly. Because people are seeing the truth. Silence. Then you're making things worse. No, I was making it harder for them to lie. They thought they could bury me with lies, but they forgot my mother left me something far more dangerous than grief, the truth. The truth didn't calm them, it cornered them. By morning, my post had been shared hundreds of times. Customers were commenting. People who knew my mother were posting memories. The narrative was cracking, and when liars lose control, they panic. I found out how far they'd go when I got another alert from my bank. Withdrawal pending, $38,000. My heart slammed. That account was under legal freeze. Someone was trying to empty it anyway. I called my lawyer so fast my hands were shaking. They're attempting to drain the business account, I said. His voice went sharp. That's illegal. Then why is it happening? Because they're desperate, he replied. They're trying to take what they can before the court stops them. Before I could even process that, Mia shouted from the living room, "There's smoke!" We ran to the window. Across the street, a fire truck was parked outside the antique shop. My mother's shop. My breath left my body. I grabbed my keys and drove like I didn't care if I lived. When I arrived, firefighters were already pulling hoses inside. Thick black smoke poured out of the back door. My shop, my mother's dream. Burning, electrical fire, someone said, but I knew better. My lawyer called. "Did you authorize anyone to be in the building?" "No, there was forced entry," he said. "Security logged it. Someone disabled the cameras." My stomach dropped. They weren't just trying to win, they were trying to erase. And then the call came that made my blood run cold. The police. "We're doing a welfare check," the officer said. "Your family is concerned about your mental state." They were trying to have me declared unstable. Again, I understood it all in one sickening flash. Drain the money, burn the evidence, paint me as crazy. So when everything disappeared, no one would believe me. But they made one mistake. They moved too fast. The fire investigators found accelerant. The bank flagged the illegal transfer, and the security logs showed exactly when someone broke in. That night, my lawyer sent me one message. "We have enough. Enough for fraud, enough for arson, enough for criminal charges." And for the first time since my mother died, I wasn't afraid anymore. I was ready. They tried to destroy the evidence, but in doing so, they left fingerprints that would bring their whole world down. The first sign that everything was about to collapse was the news alert. Breaking: fire at local antique shop now being investigated as arson. I stared at my phone as reporters began repeating my father's name. Then the second alert came. Bank fraud linked to estate dispute. By noon, news vans were parked outside my parents' house. Neighbors watched from their windows as police cars rolled in. And then the knock came. Not gentle, not polite. 3 sharp strikes on the front door. By the time I arrived, my father was already being led down the front steps in handcuffs. Cameras flashed. A reporter shouted his name. Daniel followed behind him, pale and shaking. They weren't being taken quietly, they were being taken publicly. The charges were read within hours: financial fraud, forgery, obstruction of justice, arson. The same mouths that had called me a murderer were now too stunned to speak. The courtroom was silent when the trial began. The judge reviewed everything slowly: the bank records, the hospice notes, my mother's journal, and the letter from the volunteer. Every lie collapsed in order. My father tried to speak. The judge didn't let him. "You forged a dying woman's signature," she said. "You attempted to steal her estate, destroy her business, and frame her daughter." She paused. "That is not grief. That is criminal intent." Daniel stared at the table. The golden child had followed my father straight into ruin. When the estate ruling came down, it was final. I was named the sole executor and majority owner of everything my mother left behind. The house, the shop, the accounts. They had tried to erase me from her life. Instead, the law wrote me into it permanently. Months later, I stood inside the rebuilt antique shop. The walls were fresh. The windows glowed. A reading corner and tea bar sat where ashes once lay. Above the entrance was a plaque: Eleanor Grace, loved, remembered, believed. One evening, my father called from jail. "She chose you," he said bitterly. "Yes," I replied. "And that's what you could never forgive." I hung up, because revenge isn't screaming, it's surviving. And the truth, the one they tried to burn, now lives where no one can destroy it. They tried to make me the villain, but in the end, their lies became their sentence, and my mother's love became my freedom.